Girls of Reddit, what is the creepiest thing a man has said to you in public? I was 11 in a street market in Italy. A vendor came up and started trying to convince me to marry his son. My dad ran up and was like, dude, she's 11. The guy said, my son's only 26. It's perfect. I was once stalked by a man who worked in the store that was next to mine, and he had told me that he made his Skyrim character to look like me. I was in Paris at a Christmas market and a guy came up to me and told me I was very beautiful. Before I could say anything back, he said, you know, I've been following you for a while and saw your friends walk away from you. I could kidnap you so quick, they would never see you again. Then he laughs, and my friend, who was only like 8 feet away and heard this exchange, pulls my arm and we start fast walking away. We cut down so many alleys, popped in and out of shops, and got on different trains since it was nearly impossible to know if he was still following us. ETA, there were 3 of us, and while we really have no idea if he had actually been following us for a while, we assume he had been around long enough to know we spoke English, since he didn't approach me speaking French. This was a guy who had found my Facebook in about half a second. I have no idea how. People I want to give it to can't find it without my help, so how does sex work for you? Does it hurt you? How do you do it? He'd found out I was disabled and decided this was an excellent and appropriate conversation piece. I was wearing my horseback riding clothes. He held the door for me and said, you can ride me. When I kept walking into the store ignoring him, he screamed after me, hey bitch. I said you could ride me. This is why we can't have nice things, people. I was in Walmart and some creepy guy came up to me and my sister and pointed at his junk in sweatpants, clearly not wearing underwear, and asked if we wanted to touch it. Now I refused to go to Walmart. Man in club came up to me and said, just thought I should let you know that you have great birthing hips. I worked at a truck stop and needed a driver to sign something, but didn't have a pen. He was a super gross old fat guy, missing quite a bit of teeth. He said that I could borrow his pen, but then I'd have to get in his truck with him. He was going to lock the doors and I wasn't allowed to get out. I recoiled in horror as he gave me the most disturbing smile. The thought of raping me and telling me about the fantasy truly made his day. You have all your teeth. I like that. I was waiting for the bus. Edit, thank you for the silver. I feel honored, smiley face. Once I was threatened with physical violence because I didn't smile when a guy told me to and didn't go out of my way to be nice to him when he sat down next to me. I was also called jailbait by a few customers when I was 15 working at a local sub shop, which my manager and co-workers thought was hilarious. Sad face. So many more anecdotes could come to mind if I sat longer and thought about it, but those stick out. I got followed through Walmart and the guy kept passing by me, and every time he would whisper, God, you're * so beautiful. I love you. Edit, spelling. Edit 2, he followed me to check out, and circled the parking lot to see what car I got in. I flashed my gun while loading my groceries and then he left. I went a different way home and was so paranoid of being followed, but I wasn't. I was also 20 weeks pregnant. Scariest moment of my life. I was 14, out shopping at an Aeropostale when these 2 dudes approached me. They had to be in their mid to late 20s. They followed me around the store and kept asking me to try on the mini skirt I had picked out, asked me where I lived, my name, and just generally kept following and harassing me. I was super freaked out, hoping that my mom and brother would come back to the store soon to get me out of there. Something very similar happened to my then 13-year-old daughter and her friend, at an H&M. They called me crying and begging me to get them from the mall early. When I got there, they said he'd been in his car just watching them as they waited for me to pull up, but had driven away as soon as I got there. I did my best to make sure no cars were following us home. The idea that he might be following us, and end up knowing where they live, scared the hell out of me. Edit for clarity, and since this kinda blew up, the guy followed them around the store. As soon as they called me, he disappeared, so they went to wait outside. That's when they noticed he was sitting in a parked car with a direct close to the benches they were waiting on. Having the "when this happens again" conversation instead of an "if this happens again" with them broke my heart, but, as a parent, it's stupid to be anything but pragmatic about the very shared experiences of women in our world. Screaming across a parking lot as I get into my car, "You'd be lucky if I raped you. Bitches love me." I peeled out as fast as I could. Ugh reminds me of when a man followed me to my car after work telling me about all the disgusting things he was going to do to me. Broke into a run to get to my car. Cried the whole way home. I don't think people realize how invasive and disturbing it is to have something like this happen to them. Just reading it seems like just words, but the way it gets under your skin and makes you feel like they think they own you is so disgusting. Ugh Jade, I'm sorry this happened to you. I had a guy harass me and my friend as we were leaving Denny's. We had another guy with us. Friend grabbed onto our guy friend arm. Harasser said that's okay, it's the fat one he wanted to rape anyways. I was the fat one. Guy friend did not leave parking until he saw we're well away. Oh no, when I was 13, a guy grabbed me by the wrist and he said, "Hey sexy, wanna come with me so I can show you something? I love bad girls like you." I was so stupid that I was still worried about being rude and apologized to him for saying no, but when he tried to fully grab my arm I just ran. I was in 6th grade and had 3 boys discuss my breasts in front of me like I wasn't there. The first boy said I stuffed my bra, the second one came up and explained to him how he could know that I didn't. The third joined in the explanation of real vs fake like they were looking at a painting on a wall while I sat there flabbergasted at being noticed in that way. I was 17 and cleaning a window at work, on one knee. Guy, in front of his 8, "Yo son, you like being on your knees?" It happens a lot more the younger women are. Creepy guys know that the older we are the less likely we are to stand for that shit. So if you're young, who gives a shit about being polite? Give them a curled lip, raised eyebrow and a well-placed ew and watch their faces fall. Not so much what was said at first, but the insistence, and continuing to walk with me on my route for like 20 minutes, that I must save his email address. Words alone are creepy on occasion, but it's the absolute worst when there's an element of being trapped.